Praise be Jesus Christ and Mary Immaculate. Welcome to this homily for this Palm Sunday. We're going to read from the Gospel of Mark chapter 11, verses 1 through 10. On Palm Sunday, we ask ourselves, how is it possible that the same crowds who acclaimed Jesus very enthusiastically at the beginning, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, are the same ones who just a few hours later will shout with hatred, crucify him, crucify him. What happened in between there? What did they see that they didn't like? Mark tells us in this gospel, chapter 11, verses 1 through 10. When they were close to Jerusalem, Jesus was at the end of his journey and went to the holy city where he will meet his death at the hands of the religious leaders. Bethphage and Bethany were two small villages near Jerusalem, near the Mount of Olives. And here the gospel writer is giving us a theological indication, because Bethany and the Mount of Olives are both places that speak to us of resurrection. So while Jesus is going to meet his death, he is also going to experience his resurrection. He sent two disciples ahead of them into the village, and this is the first indication of the misunderstanding that happens, that they go to a village. The village is a technical term used by the evangelist to indicate misunderstanding and even hostility towards Jesus and his message, because Jesus and his message break all traditions. It is something new. It is the newness of the gospel that they do not understand. And unlike the city, where you always find the latest trend or something new, or people that are different and from multiple places, the village is usually the place where you usually hear people say, things really don't change here, we don't want them to change here, and we want things to stay the same. So the evangelist makes us understand that this episode that we're about to partake into is characterized by misunderstandings. Jesus tells his disciples, in front of you is a village, and immediately upon entering it, you will find a colt, literally a donkey, and he will be tied up to a door, and no one has ever ridden this donkey. Untie him and bring him here. This action of Jesus is highly symbolic and highly prophetic, because it comes from a prophecy from the prophet Zechariah, which you find in the 9th chapter of his book. While all other prophecies or prophecies of a Messiah centered upon a Messiah that was going to enter Jerusalem triumphant with power and might and military and violence and war, to do anything that he could to bring Jerusalem back to the great state that it was, Zechariah writes something very different. In this ninth chapter, Zechariah writes, "Rejoice greatly, O daughter Zion. Rejoice, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king comes to you. He is just, and he is victorious, humble, and riding a donkey." Why does Jesus ride a donkey? Because the royal animal or the royal mount was a mule. The war animal was a horse. And the donkey was the transportation or the work animal of the ordinary people, of the servants. And what continues in the prophecy is what really changes the mind of the people. Because in the prophecy of Zechariah, it says that this king, this Messiah that's coming in on a donkey, this is what he will do. He will make the war chariot disappear from Ephraim, and the horse from Jerusalem, and the bow of war will be broken, and he will announce peace to the nations. And this prophecy, even though people knew it, had been put aside. It had been tied up to the post, so to say, and it was left there because people did not want something like this. People did not want a Messiah that was going to come with peace and not fight. So Jesus unties this prophecy. By untying the donkey, Jesus literally is untying this prophecy, and it becomes real in its meaning. So the disciples went and found the little donkey tied to the door, out of the way, just as Jesus said. And why is this important? because the prophecy was there for all to see, just like a donkey tied up in the street. Everybody could see it, but nobody wanted to untie it because what they wanted was a Messiah that came with a very nationalistic idea, a Messiah that was going to make Jerusalem the greatest city again, a Messiah that came with triumphant and violence. And here is the culmination of the scene. They brought the donkey to Jesus, and they threw their cloaks over it. What is the meaning of this gesture? The cloak indicates the person, the whole person. So the disciples throwing their cloak over this colt indicates that they agree with Jesus, with his image of a Messiah that comes with peace, non-violence, a non-warrior Messiah. Jesus climbs on it and sits on it, indicating the fundamental dignity with which Jesus settles into this image of a Messiah of peace. Second, we read that many people put their cloaks on the road, on the street. What does this mean? So when a man was proclaimed crowned king, the subjects, in order to show submission to this king, would place their cloaks, which we already said represents the whole person, on the streets, and the king will pass over it as a sign of submission and domination. The crowds cry out, "Hosanna, Hosanna," which literally means "save us from heaven," and is part of Psalm 118, sung during the festival of Booth, which means "save us, O Lord." And here is the misunderstanding. As the people are yelling out, "Save us, O Lord, Hosanna," meaning come with your divine help to help us dominate the other people. Come with your divine help and give us the strength we need to put others under our feet. And the other understanding is that they're calling out for the kingdom for their father David. Blessed is the kingdom that comes from our father David. It's not the kingdom of God announced by Jesus that they want to come. They want the kingdom of David. David, who certainly did unite the people once again, and David, who did rule Jerusalem in unity, but he did this through many acts of war and violence. And this is not the kingdom that Jesus come to establish. So what's left for us? Jesus sees this tension all around him, and he escapes. He goes out of the city again. He goes over and he moves towards Bethany. He moves towards a place of peace. Let's see what the next action of Jesus will be. Let's see what else Jesus can do that will decide his fate. Jesus has already entered the city, but he has come with a message of peace. How is this message of peace, nonviolence, inclusion sit with the people who want him to reign? God bless you.